Hello, colleagues and friends. Welcome to Solvay Brussels School, Vietnam. My name is Yuki. I am the community manager of Solvay School, Vietnam. Thank you for joining our today webinar on innovation leadership and execution with three great speakers, Metselaar, Doan, and Tung Hoang. Can you raise the hand, the three speakers, so that the audience can see you?
Hello.
Also, raise hand.
Hi, guys.
Great. This webinar is organized by Solvay Brussels School in Vietnam, together in association with the Conference Board and with the support of Belgian and Luxembourg Chambers of Commerce in Vietnam. VMCC, you can see it on the logo of the backdrop. VMCC, the Vietnam Marketing and Communication Club. CSMO, Vietnam, the Club of Sales and Marketing Executives. MACE, the Marketing Association. So thank you very much, our Solvay partners and associates, for your great collaboration and support. And for ones who try this the first time, this is one of the activities of Solvay. We call the visit talk that Solvay School organized for our community. And apart from our MBA and master program, like master program in marketing and communication, master program in quality and operation, Solvay also delivers shorter sections for the community with conference, seminar, and webinars. So please feel free to follow us. And let me go through with you for the today agenda. So we will start with the introduction about the three speakers, and then we start with keynote speaker Metselaar. After it, we will go on with Mr. Thuan, and we will continue with the story of Chef Tung Hoang. And the last of the time will be the time for Q&A, so you can be free to ask our speakers. Are we all okay? Just say like this to make sure that you hear me well. Okay, great. Thank you. So let me give you some words about Professor Metselaar, our keynote speaker today. So Professor Metselaar is a professor of leading and living innovation at Solvay Brussels School, Vietnam. He is also the director of innovation and digital transformation at the Conference Board. He is also the advisor, speaker, innovation leadership philosopher, and he is also the former Procter & Gamble vice president and the CTO of Brussels Innovation Center. So for ones who wanted to become the member of the innovation global innovation network, you can join the conference board with Professor Metselaar, and you can contact Professor John or us later today. Thank you, John, for spending a lot of effort and time for Solvay Vietnam and for Vietnam community. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, John. And our second speaker is the strategy and innovation expert, Mr. Thuan. Mr. Thuan is also a very good brother and friend of Solvay. He very often gave speech and support our Solvay community. Mr. Thuan is currently the Deputy CEO of Strategy and Marketing at Kowil Fashion, Phu Thai Holdings. He is also an expert of JICA on the strategic and marketing and innovation under Generative program. Please correct me later. I am not very good at Japanese. He is also the expert trainer on innovation to Vietinbank, and he's a translator of books on innovation, such as 10 Types of Innovation, Design a Better Business, and Invisible Companies. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thuan. Can you raise your hand, Mr. Thuan?
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Anton. And this very special guest today who just came out of the real business, I mean the kitchen, the chef, Tung Hoang. He is the founder and lecturer of CookCloud and Pizza Home. He recently raised 6 million Vietnam dong capital for CookCloud on Shark Tank Vietnam. If you watched it a few weeks ago, I think just a week ago, for CookCloud. And he also made a lot of viral for burgers and food during the COVID time. So we just hear a little bit, some kind of teasers from Tung that, okay, you see some success, but we didn't see the failure. So we really hope to hear the whole story of Tung today. Right, anh Tung? Hi.
Hello.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor Chon Metselaar, anh Thuan, and anh Tung. And now we go with the first part of Professor Chon Metselaar.
Pleasure to be back at Vietnam and with the school, and what an honor to be with this panel of Thuan and Tung, two people I admire greatly. And I think we have created what should be quite an interesting workshop for you with perspective from different angles. So welcome to all, and let me go and flip you through a view at today's world. You know, we sometimes live in a world, but we don't take time to step away from that world and really appreciate what's going on around us, because that's what we need to know if we want to drive innovation and drive it successfully. And so from that world, I then go into, so what's the role of innovation that exists in this world, which is different from what it was in the past. And so I think this is very significant development in this, what I call VUCA world. And those of you who have heard me talk before, or have even been in my class, they probably go like, oh, here he goes again with this VUCA. But it is an important acronym, which, as most of you probably know now, stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We're living in a volatile world. Things can happen suddenly, really fast and really big, as we have seen recently. We're living in an uncertain world. You know, it's unpredictable. We don't know what's around the corner. We're living in a complex world. There's so many forces going on right now that are interplaying, and we don't know what these forces are going to lead us to. And then it's ambiguous. You know, what's cause and effect? What's truth in these days, right? We have all these fact checkers, but don't trust the fact checkers. So it is truly a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And people have always probably said that, you know, if you lived in the 70s or you lived in the last century, you always go, oh, the world is so VUCA. But I do think that this is a very unique time, because two forces are coming together that we have never seen before. And those two forces are, we're seeing an amazing amount of technological progress. Of course, digital is very hot, as you've seen, as you all see around you, but it is not limited to digital. We're seeing an enormous amount of progress also in, say, 3D printing, in manufacturing operation. We're seeing a lot of progress in biological area. And so the technological progress is bigger and more significant than in any times before. But what is so unique, and that's putting this world on steroids, as I would call it, is we're unlimitedly connected. You know, Tung was saying before that, you know, well, large corporations have all the skills and capabilities, and so they are better than what I am with as an entrepreneur. And I go like, no, that's not necessarily the case anymore. It used to be the case when I started to join Procter & Gamble 35 years ago now. You know, we had the pilot plant, we had the engineers, we had the data experts. And so if I had a good idea, I could go and get a prototype made of that idea and get some consumer research done. And within, let's say, 2 weeks, because things don't go that fast in the company, I could go and get an answer whether I had a good idea or a bad idea. If you would start in your garage, where would you go without all these capabilities? But today, everybody is connected everywhere, either in physical ecosystems, be it from the Silicon Valley, or be it the Amsterdam, or be it the London, or be it the Paris, or be it in Vietnam as well, in Saigon and in Hanoi. You know, you have the physical ecosystems that are popping up and you know, jumping out of the ground pretty quickly everywhere around the world. But that's not enough. What you're also seeing is that if you don't have the answer in your physical ecosystem, you can go and be connected around the world. You can also be virtually connected. And so you could have a good idea in Amsterdam, you could go and have people in Beijing or in Shanghai or in Saigon go and run you do a little CAD file and a prototype. You could do your data experts somewhere in, I'm making this up, in Sao Paulo. And you could send the data over, and within 48 hours, probably instead of the 2 weeks I was talking about, you can have some perspective whether you have a good idea or a bad idea. And so that's pushing the world forward in an unbelievable way. We're creating more data every 2 years than all the times before. Every 2 years, more data get produced than all the times before. And when IoT is rolling out, we're going to see that's pretty quickly is going to be every year more data are going to be produced. And of course, if you're smart, you can turn data into information, into knowledge, and into wisdom. And as a consequence, what I call it, we're living in a knowledge explosion world. And that knowledge is pushing the world forward. So it is so bad that people in Wall Street don't talk about decline or progress anymore, but they go when the Dow Jones index goes down one day, they call it Dow Jones shows negative progress today. That's the conditioning that we've gotten ourselves into in today's world because of that explosion of knowledge that I just visualized for you. And in a world that's moving forward, standing still is not enough. Standing still is not good enough. Remember from your old physics class, if relative to an object that moves away from you, if you stand still, relative to that object, you're moving actually backwards, right? If you are in that moving object, and that's the world today, that moving object is the world. And that's why the role of innovation is different today from what it was 35, 40 years ago. 40 years ago, you would ask, you would do your strategy exercise first. And then one of the key questions you would ask, what's the role of innovation? Does innovation play a role in our priorities for next year? Today, that's not optional anymore. Innovation needs to be the way forward. It's the only way for companies to stay abreast on that fast moving world. If you do it better than competition and better than everyone around you, can actually thrive in this new world. If you jump into that knowledge explosion, turn them into opportunities, and find your way forward, as Tung is going to illustrate to us at the end of this workshop. So I used to talk this, as many of you who are in my class know, already since 5 years or 6 years almost, this whole VUCA world that we're living in. And of course, that was before what happened last year, right? And I call this what we're living in today, a VUCA on steroids. The COVID crisis has only made this world, this VUCA world, more VUCA, and I've coined this term, VUCA on steroids. With, as I visualized here, the black swan coming in from left field or right field, depending on the viewer's perspective. And so you can have a plan, you can do your strategic planning until the cows come home. But if this happens to you, all the plans are being thrown out of the window. And we have seen that happening essentially with every corporation around the world over the last year. And so did I tell you that innovation is the only way to survive and thrive? That's even more the case in the VUCA and storage world than it already was in the VUCA world. So with that grounding, we need to look at, what is innovation is important, but also innovation has become a buzzword. Everybody talks about, innovation, but do you know what innovation really is? How to get your act together, how to get organized for it? Well, that's what I'm going to tell you next in terms of giving you some fundamentals around the innovation game. The first thing to understand and appreciate is that innovation is not invention. Many people keep on confusing innovation with invention. They are not the same. As a matter of fact, they are virtually the opposite of one another. Invention is where you invest money to go and create knowledge. The EU is putting billions and billions of euros into their Horizon 2020 and 25 and 2030 programs. Your government is investing in universities everywhere. Companies have the corporate innovation headquarters somewhere. They have this somewhere in the middle of the woods. They have these engineers and scientists and PhDs that are inventing new things. But that's not innovation. Innovation is only successful when you take that knowledge and turn it into money. And I use money here as a proxy for value. Okay, innovation is only successful when it creates value. Now, that's more easily said than done, right? Because value is, again, like innovation, a broad concept. But you need to go and dissect what you mean with value. So this is what I've done here, okay? If you want to go and produce successful innovation, you need to make sure it produces value for the consumer, because otherwise you don't have a business. It's as simple as that. It also needs to produce value for the company, because otherwise you shouldn't be in that business. And to Tung's success, he will resonate with the point I always made in my class, which is many entrepreneurs go bust because they ask themselves, is there a hole in the market? And that's a good first question to ask. But then you also need to go on and say, is there a market in the hole? How do I create value? And that's often elusive. So value for the consumer, otherwise you don't have a business. Value for the company, otherwise you should not be in this business, at least not in the long term. Okay, that's great. That's simple. No, it's not simple, because also you need to go one step further. You need to go and produce value for your stakeholders. Otherwise, you don't have a partners. You can squeeze your suppliers for lower cost only so far until they go bust and you don't have supply anymore. So upstream, downstream, you know, if P&G wants to sell a new detergent, you need to go and make sure that you go and give some of the spoils to Walmart of this world, or the Tesco's of this world, to the supermarkets of this world. Otherwise, they wouldn't put your product on the shelf. And last, and that's a recent trend, which I think by and large is very positive. All this is not good enough. It also needs to produce value for society. You know, it needs to be, you need to make sure that when you do innovation, it is a three-legged stool. It needs to be financially sound. It needs to be socially sound, societally sound, and it needs to be environmentally sound. You know, people, planet, profit, as they sometimes say. So that's the complexity of innovation that gives some definition to that broad concept, which sounds easy, but it's not. Definition of innovation, well, very simple. It's making better things, making things better, or doing things better. It's all those three. It's not about producing the next disruptive innovation. It's also about putting something new in the marketplace and then keeping it young, keeping it fresh, keeping it iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, wherever we are today. You know, the iPhone 1 was a disruptive innovation, a breakthrough innovation. But the iPhone 1, 2, sorry, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they were incremental innovations. They were about making things better, not about making better things. So innovation can be making better things, making things better, and doing things better. And it needs to produce value. Exactly right. So I love this definition of innovation, which is one for you to keep in mind. I would recommend. It converts knowledge, innovation converts knowledge and inspiration into new value. So there is the knowledge. Remember, we talked about the explosion, how critical that is. Manage knowledge, understand what you have, go out and work and develop knowledge. You know, sprinkle that with inspiration, and then work on converting that into value. And that gets me to my next key point, which is innovation is often associated with this inspiration point, right? It is about creativity, and it's about hackathons, and it's about post-its and stuff like that. Well, I'm telling you here that it's only 1% in the innovation game is 1% inspiration, and it's 99% perspiration. And perspiration is a posh word for sweat. You know, it's bloody hard work to go and take an idea or a concept into a design, then go and qualify that design. You know, first of all, choose probably between various options you have, then pick your option, then go and put it into a design, qualify the design, then make sure your manufacturing works, then get your commercialization done, and then put it in the marketplace and keep leveraging it. And that can be a long process. The inspiration can take a long weekend, or maybe even shorter. But the whole innovation game can take 2 to 3, or in some industries, 10 years. Some people call, Uber, for instance. Uber popped up suddenly, right? At least in the US, because you guys kicked out Uber, right? I've learned in my visits to Vietnam. But they've been playing around with the concept for 10 years. They didn't just pop up like this. They played around with the concept for a long period of time. So that's the one myth I wanted to address, get you straight. It's not about creativity alone. Yes, it's place, but there's much more. And the conversion part is so really important. And then the other thing is that you need to know is when we talk about innovation, it's not the Eureka lonely guy, you know, the Edison of this world, or the Einstein of this world, or the Aristotle of this world that is the innovator. No, you know, it's not a single person. Innovation is a multifunctional team sport. A team sport, a multifunctional team sport, small task force, marketing, R&D, finance, product supply, consumer services. You know, these people, put them in a little box somewhere, and let them go and develop the next big innovation. And I said little box, you should put them in a little box, in a big box, but with guardrails, by the way. Anyway, I don't have time to get into that specifically. So that's really my rundown of what's the world that we live in. Why is innovation so uniquely important and so hot today? We're seeing that the most admired companies are the most innovative companies today. And then addressing a few myths, right? It is not only about creativity, it's about it's about knowledge management, knowledge generation, and then tapping into the knowledge, and then convert that together with the sprinkle of inspiration into value, into new value. And then make sure that it is a human endeavor. Innovation is a human endeavor. And that sets me up for my next point, which is, how do you lead innovation? And the first thing I always say is that innovation is more about psychology and sociology than it is about technology. And so the psychology is how do you motivate people intrinsically, individually. The sociology is how you then get them together into these amazing teams that you see here on the screen. These multifunctional teams. You can use an analogy to sports teams. So now I want to sag into the second part, which is, so what about the leader? DV Tung, you are semi-naked in the picture, so you know. Okay, yeah, that's better. Let me talk a bit about leadership. This is getting me into the reality that this new VUCA on steroids world brings. It's very significant for leadership. Why? Because the world is moving so fast, is so VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous that in the past, we've grown up, I've grown up at least, and I'm sure many of you in the audience with, the boss being the person who had all the answers. Well, that's not the case anymore. The boss doesn't have the answers anymore. The world's too VUCA to fully comprehend it. And by yourself as a leader, set the direction. And that's a very profound moment in time, in history. And so therefore, innovation, why was it so important, right? As I showed you before. Well, in this uncertain world where you don't have the answers, you need, as they call it in one of the books that I read, one of my favorite books, Little Bets, they say, do things to learn what to do. You need to go out and learn things and do things, try things to learn, to figure out whatever it is you need to do in this ever-changing and fast-changing and VUCA, again, world. And so how does it play out? Well, you need to go and create a new culture. Your culture becomes not a culture of followers who follow what the vision that the leader have. In the past, say, take Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford had the vision of the assembly line, and he needed people to go and execute it. That was the old style leader. Again, that wouldn't work today. Too uncertain. And so you need to go and create for this new world a new culture, to do things, to generate a culture where you have the organization, your people doing things to learn what to do. And that's back to your point too, how we started our previous conversation. You mentioned about failures. Absolutely. If you do not fail, you don't learn. You need to create a culture of experimentation and learning, I call it. Design things, test things, fail things, learn things, repeat. Probably, and Tung, you will tell us how often you have tried, but repeating 10 to 20 times is not uncommon, as long as you focus on learning. And then once you get it right, finally, once you succeed, that's the moment where you decide, and that's the moment where you scale. I was in a recent panel conversation with a very smart guy next to me, and he said we should stop talking about R&D. R&D is research and development that's outdated. We should call it ENS. I go like, where's he going with ENS? Experimentation and scale. And I go, bingo, that's exactly right. Experimentation, learn, scale. Or experimentation, fail, learn, scale. That's the world that we need to get ready for. And so that new leader needs to go and organize for that. And I call that generative leadership. That leader needs to go and produce an environment in his organization, his or her organization, that allows people to go and blossom and step into that experimentation, fail, learn, succeed game and skill game. That now becomes the role of, I sometimes call it inverted leadership, right? It used to be the leader knew with everything and it was top down. Now it is the role of a leader becomes like a gardener almost, to go and really focus on the culture of innovation and make sure that you create that fertile ground for ideas to pop and experimentation to happen. So then I step back and I go, okay, to me at least that makes sense. I hope it does to you. So who are they and what do they do? And I created this framework, which I call my generative leadership framework, which I'm actually started to write articles about, and ultimately is going to be coming together in the book. And I figured out, okay, there's two parts to leadership: it's what they do and who they are, or rather who they should be. And the doing side is relatively easy. Sometimes we call it the 5 E's. I put 4 here, but it's 3 E's, 5 E's, whatever it is. It's really illustrating that leadership, what leaders do, are at 3 levels. Envisioning, is the purpose, the strategy, and that's a separate class I don't have time to get into here. Enabling is rolling up the sleeves and working with your project teams to make sure that you help them to go and move forward on their projects. and provide the resources, help them break down barriers. That's in the enabling part. And then there is the engaging and the empowering and engaging part, where you engage the organization and then empower them to these multi-functional task forces, empower them to go and move forward. And so that's one angle. But the more interesting angle may be, who leaders are, who they should be. And there I created the metaphor of mind, heart, and gut, or mind, heart, and body. And so I call it here growth mindset, authenticity, and walking the talk, or psychological safety, which I'll get to in more detail in a second. So that's what I wanted to spend the focus on. That's why I decided to focus on in this session here. Let me see what I'm doing on time. I need to have another 10 minutes, so that should be okay. Here is my generative leadership being side. Mindset, authenticity, and beyond vulnerability, and then psychological safety that goes into trust and allows leader to walk the talk. And so let me start one by one. Let me go one by one and start with growth mindset. So growth mindset. Well, I want to start here again with a quote by a guy who I mentioned before, Henry Ford, who says, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that means, obviously, it's all in your mind. Where you're going in life is all ruled by your mindset. And that's a profound statement and a good insight. Carol Dweck noticed that in her book Mindset, which talks about how you can fulfill your potential. And fundamentally, she talks about adopting and enabling a growth mindset to drive that required business growth through innovation for today and tomorrow. And so why is this growth mindset so uniquely important? Well, it gets back to some of the concepts we talked about. Remember, we live in a knowledge explosion. Well, the growth mindset is the mentality that makes you reach out as leaders to tap into that knowledge, turn them into insights and into ideas that then you can go and develop into opportunities on which you experiment. See how it all comes together versus what I said before. Within the box that leaders then allow, leaders create the guardrails around the box that you want your people to experiment in. You don't want to have them go out and do everything possible and then end up with ideas that have nothing to do with your business. Generate or establish the guardrails where the boundaries that you want your teams to innovate in. And that leads to both results and learning at the same time. You produce results and you learn for your next challenge and innovation and your next, and you create this upward spiral of competence and capability through this, what I call learning culture. So mindsets, back to mindset, okay? Hopefully you understand now how important it is to get to the right mindset. And hopefully when I explain to you the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset, you'll be able to understand that even better. Let me go and stop here and say, people get born or conditioned very early on in life. It happens already in kindergarten or even earlier, as I indicated. Along a continuum of fixed mindset and growth mindset. You're not on the extreme here or the extreme there. You're more towards growth or more towards fixed. And that even can change, as you learn, as you develop, and as you grow. But it's pretty much defining also at the same time. It's not easy to go and move away from being more towards the fixed or more towards a growth mindset. But it is really important that to go and meet that new world that I just painted, that we all work towards the growth mindset, because you need that growth mindset to go and do what I just showed you before, and that drives innovation and results and learning in this VUCA world, VUCA and steroids world. So what is the difference? Fixed mindset, when you are conditioned or born with a fixed mindset towards the fixed mindset side, you believe that intelligence and abilities are set in stone. You don't change them anymore. Investing in growth, investing in training, investing in development, you don't really do much of, because you were born with a certain amount of talent and intelligence, and you're very comfortable with that. Actually, you probably want to go and brag about it and show off. You go through a desire. You spend most of your time looking for validation and looking smart, and looking for validation of your intelligence, your smarts, and your talents. Social recognition becomes very important to you. People with the growth mindset have an exact opposite belief. They believe intelligence and abilities can be grown through effort. And as a consequence, they are keen to challenge and stretch themselves to grow that further, to develop that further. So let's play this out just to illustrate it along a few dimensions, okay? First challenge, let's look at challenges, right? So challenges, well, people with the fixed mindset, they avoid challenges. Why? If they don't meet the challenges, they're being found out. It's an embarrassment. Their social status is being hurt. So they don't like challenges. They love challenges. People with the growth mindset, give me a challenge. You know, it gives an opportunity to learn. I love challenges. I want to go and get into them and onto them so that I can learn from them. An obstacle, you know, an obstacle in the challenge, that's for the fixed mindset, a reason to say, you see, I never like a challenge, I'm out of here. I don't really want to do this. While people with the growth mindset, they persist. They get a kick out of, how do I get through this challenge or over the challenge or around the challenge, underneath the challenge, whatever it is. They persist in the face of setbacks. They're thriving on challenges, on obstacles. They love how to deal with obstacles and get around them. It's an opportunity to learn. Efforts, well, I explained that to you earlier. You know, why would I put in effort? I mean, I have a fixed mindset. I'm born with this amount, with who I am. And so I'm not going to train. But of course, people with the growth mindset, they know that it's the path to mastery. This is really important when those of you who have children. I always say the one wise lesson of the mindset concept is never praise your children for talent or oh, you're so smart, oh, you're so intelligent. Praise them for effort, sincere praise for effort, because you get more of it. And you indicate and you explain to your offspring and to your next generation that growth is really important if you want to stay abreast on this fast-moving world, fast-developing world. Criticism, oh my God, how difficult is it to sit somebody down, even for a constructive feedback conversation that has a fixed mindset. They hate to go and even talk about any potential issues. And people with the growth mindset, give me feedback. How can I grow if I don't get feedback? So that is that's critical. Success of others, you know, the world is fixed. I'm threatened by it. A fixed mindset. And with the growth mindset, you know, you find lessons and inspiration for people that are successful. And so then you look at the result, and the result is very significant here. The result is playing at two levels. One is you compare a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. It limits your own potential when you're a fixed mindset. You go farther when you have a growth mindset, but also importantly as a leader, you create an environment around you. If you're a fixed mindset that is fixed, that's closed. You don't like to be intimidated. You don't like to be challenged. You like to be the smartest person in the room. And the opposite is true for people with the growth mindset. They want to be the least smart person in the room. They surround themselves with complementary brains so that together you'll end up with better results. So where are you standing today would be my question for you to go and reflect on for maybe 10 seconds here. Usually we have a workshop, so we have more time. Anyway, the next 2 points are going to be, so now we have the mind in place. You know, that's not good enough. Today's leader also needs to operate with the heart. You know, we're looking for authenticity, authentic leaders behind vulnerability. And so that has two components, becoming authentic. Accept your vulnerability. You know, accept and express that you're fallible. You make mistakes. You don't have all the answers. You know, you cannot have all the answers. Express that to your organization and to your people. That allows not only you to open up, but also them to open up. It sets them up for failure. And it sets them up to be not afraid to make mistakes as long as they learn from it. You know, if you create this buttoned up culture, everybody needs to be buttoned up, you know, know-it-all culture, then everybody wants to follow you and things get swept under the carpet. That's not the environment that you want or can create in this environment. So that's not easy for most of us to admit that we don't know. And that's why I'm saying, you know, have the courage to be vulnerable. And that's on you. And then secondly, go and make sure you're in touch with the others. Be empathic, you know, listen generatively. And really get into the conversation, you know, be in touch with the people that you're meeting, that you're seeing, that you're dealing with in your organization, you know, be active, be an active listener. That leads to best connection and best results. And what you're going to find if you follow these two rules or these two principles, you're going to find you're so much better connected with self. You know, you feel so much more better in your heart, that you also are able to go and step change the connection that you have with other people. And they will see you as a leader who's authentic, and they will want to follow you. So authenticity behind vulnerability, absolutely critical. And then the third and complementary part is the gut. You know, you want to make sure that people feel safe in their gut. And so the concept of psychological safety is very hot right now. I'm not sure if anybody knows Amy Edmondson. She's a professor of Harvard. I know her for a long time, and she has just, she's coined this term, and she's now the #3 thinker in the world, I think, when it comes to management concepts. And she's written a book called The Fearless Organization. I would recommend you all to read it. It's very powerful. And the concept behind psychological safety fundamentally is when people have fun and are fulfilled, innovation will thrive. This is what I wrote many years ago already at P&G. And so later on, I've got to do this definition of psychological safety, which really talks about what it is. It describes a climate where people feel safe enough to take interpersonal risks by speaking up and sharing concerns, questions, or ideas. A climate, people feel safe enough, you feel personally safe to take those interpersonal risks by speak up, have your voice. When you don't like something, speak up in a polite and respectful way. And share your concerns, ask your questions, don't hold back. There are no stupid questions. And share ideas that may be a bit controversial. That's what psychological safety means. And that's what you as a leader need to lead to go and establish in your organization, because it provides the safety, as I said, for people to express themselves as they really are. And that then leads to trust. If you create a psychologically safe environment on an organizational level, that creates trust amongst people. And I always say, without trust, nothing moves. With trust, great things happen. And that is probably a nice quote to finish my part. And I ask you, it's exactly half hour, to ask you, what does it mean for you? And with that, I need to go and not have the conversation, unfortunately, but hand it over to Thuan and let him illustrate some of the concepts that I've talked.
In my part, I'm going to share to all the audience about what's happening now in Vietnam. And at the end of the day, how we could capitalize on innovation to really navigate the situation during this hard pandemic time. Let's take a look at an example in Vietnam. And you see, this is kind of a counter, as a cafeteria, a payment. And during this social distancing, touching is not advisable. So how do we conduct the payment? And this is a video recorded by myself, and I consider it to be an innovation. So let's see. Yeah, so this is the way that the cashier give back money to the people who bought the cafe. And by this, I don't know how to call it, structure, it really maintains the social distancing between the cashier and the people who buy the coffee. And this is an innovation. It really creates a value, and value here is safety for the society. So now it's a hard time for pandemic time, COVID time in Vietnam. And some people say during hard time like this, people really have to think again, or think differently about the way we do, the ways they do. And because now everybody is under pressures of survive. So thinking of something new, a new way of doing is not a choice. Sometimes it's a must. Another example in Vietnam is a national campaign joined hand by Vietnamese fashion brands. So during the hard times, the pandemic times of COVID, fashion brand in Vietnam, they join hand together to create a campaign, social campaign, namely Proudly Made in Vietnam. And we see here the stories, figures, tales, comic are crafted on the shoes, clothes, costume, and others. So by this, it really inspired the Vietnamese spirit, overcoming the hard time together. And people buy these products, not just because of the product themselves, but also because of the spirit inside. And this is another story, photo, a banner, which is not a banner. It designs nothing, but itself a single photo got 16,000 plus interaction on Facebook. No Facebook ad, no advertising at all. It designs nothing, but it's a great design. It says, too much happy, we have no time to design. Why? Because after the block days, social distancing or block days, brands struggle And now they are so happy that they can open shop again, they can do the commercials, jobs, and they can make money again, and they can survive. They're so happy. So most brand runs a banner promotion campaign like a 15%, 20%, 30% promotion here. Come over, grab the product, yeah, and let's go through the hardship life together. But here, this brand says, we are so happy that we have no time to design the banner. Let's come over. So in the community of designer in Vietnam, the photo week actually designs nothing. Received the 16,000 interaction of the designers. So it's kind of innovation. And this brand is also a very familiar brand to me because it's a brand that I'm in the management team a bit. Well, so we heard Professor Metselaar talk about innovation. I think we also heard innovation, a lot of time before. And it's a big word. In Vietnam 2035, we see innovation. We have big events of innovation. Everybody talk innovation. And we see, the successful story in Vietnam, disruptive, successful story, thanks to innovation. We see Vietnamese bank do marketing without banking anymore. Well, they organize the marathon for everybody. It's not banking service, I think. It's not banking ad, I think. And the press, on the press day, they ask all the journalists on the bus to go around Hanoi, not a hotel room for the press launch or something. Yeah, it's a different way of doing. And it's making things better. It's make better things, like Professor Metselaar said. Of course, innovation these days involve quite a lot of technology. We see Vietnamese bank digitalize, run digital transformation, and we see the ATM is no longer ATM. You can do a lot of things with ATM. And this is an example of the TP Bank. And itself, TP Bank is the very, very first bank to choose pink, purple color as the color for the bank, which is quite weird. But because of that, people remember. Whereas the rest, we see blue, green, black, lucky money and lucky color. So a lot of banks choose red, then green, and then blue. But this choose purple. Wow, different from the other. And recently we see an MB is the military bank also launched a very weird logo. You see star next to MB, and they run a quite innovative campaign like nobody else. You can open your bank account in a bank with your mobile phone number, so you don't have to remember your bank account. You don't have a hard time trying to tell somebody about this is my bank account, and then you open your phone again, and then so this is interesting, and this is innovation. Is it really creates value? It creates making things better, making things better, and we have example like that. And in Vietnam, it's it's age also for innovation. I hope banks no longer do marketing with banking content, or and also fashion brand also do marketing without fashion content. And another, this is our own story, because I'm an innovation guy and I'm happen to be in the management team of this brand. So I try to inject a lot of innovation as much as I can into the brand. Well, and this is a brand, a fashion brand. Now, I think in at least top 3 of the biggest brand in menswear in Vietnam. We try to bring this brand to Himalaya. It's a fashion brand, menswear, nothing linked with Himalaya mountain peak. We run a yearly campaign of conquering the top peak in Vietnam, and to inspire the young generation and make friends with them and tell a story about making a better version of some of their very self with us. And this is a kind of innovation, wouldn't it? And we see story also, watermelon sellers no longer sell with the conventional and boring weight. And this is a viral story, not only in Vietnam, it's in Southeast Asia. This guy, he sells watermelon in a weird costume, and because of it, he sells. He doesn't just have to reduce the price or run a big promotion to sell, but actually he's selling at a higher price. He make more profit, make more money. So wisdom and knowledge turn into money, like Professor Metselaar said. Watermelon on the other side, watermelon or mango. We have the lucky word that every Vietnamese, when spring come and it come, trying to have. So everything as we wish, and people buy it. You have to pay 2 million for items. We actually, without this lucky word, it costs something like, and I don't go to market very often, but much less. It's just 100,000. So you heard Professor Metselaar share innovation. I think you can see it. It's a big thing, but it's also interesting thing. But in Vietnamese, in Vietnam, in a Vietnamese environment, and we can see a lot of the example and showcase that actually turns the wisdom, turns novelty into value and money, and sometimes maybe just survival during the hard times, coronavirus. And Vietnamese coffee brand also selling brand in a non-traditional way. We have AHA coffee selling everywhere. Well, it's not so popular in Europe or other part of the world, but in Vietnam, this is quite new. And we have a coffee shop. We actually made up unused bus, and we have the kind of nothing like before, nothing cafeteria like that. So they sell. And people innovate in Vietnam. So the world look at Vietnam innovation. And we have interesting case study of the next speaker, also my friend, also my mountain climbing mate, and Tung. This is a photo of Tung with BBC, a real example when he had a conversation with a famous journalist there about Corona burger. And now I pass to Tung, who is actually an innovator. So share with you about how he come up with such innovation. Tung, please.
Thank you very much. I hear many interesting things from Doan and Mr. John. So what I think is that from my point of view, I am the businessman. So I hear a lot of interesting idea, but then at the end of the day, what I feel is that it have to turn into profit, or you have to turn into money. That's the real life. So we have to survive. And then innovation is also the same. So I heard a lot about innovation, and then I read a lot about innovation, and then I try many innovation, but then not all of them turn out into money. And then and I do have some of the case which I success, but I also fail many times. So with innovation, I study from two men. Is my point of view. I study from two men. The first man is Mr. Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker, the father of the modern management. So he said that the two most important function of business are innovation and marketing. All others are cost. And that's what I really deeply thinking about that. So the two most important function of business are innovation and marketing. All other are cost. That's what I follow. And the second man I follow is Steve Jobs. He said that creativity is just connecting things. So creativity is just connecting things. So I follow two men, when I do innovation, I try to do it from the point of view of a SME company, because of my company is very small and not very big. So as John said that we have to fail to learn from innovation. But what I think is that in my case, because I don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of time, so I fail, of course, but I have to fail very clever, not fail many times, not fail same mistake, not fail. I can fail, but not cost a lot of money, not cost a lot of time, so I can stand up and fail again. So that's what I think. So it's from the point of view of an SME, a small company like me. So what I try to do is that I have the KPI of innovation for my team. We have to have 2 small innovation ideas per month. And John said that innovation is a team game. I'm very agree with that, because of for me, I have a lot of idea, but I cannot think of the new idea every day. So I have to depends on also on my team as well. So the first thing is that the first case of my innovation I want to share with you is the case of the red dragon fruit pizza in the beginning of COVID-19. So it's a time when all the borders of Vietnam to the other country is closed. So a lot of the fruit from Vietnam, we are not allowed to sell it into the other country. and yeah, and you know, the farmers, they don't know how to sell it, where to sell it, and they just bring that to the borders and cannot export that to the other countries. And then in Vietnam, we have the campaign of we have to rescue the Vietnamese agriculture. So the first thing is that people just buy things to eat. Like at the time, the dragon fruit from the south of Vietnam go to the north of Vietnam and try to export to China, but the China border is closed. So they have to they just stay at the border and cannot export it. And if nobody buy it, they would have to throw all the dragon fruit away. So in the beginning, people just buy the dragon fruit to eat, and after a few days, it's not a very good way because we cannot eat the dragon fruit every day. So at the time, we make one of the things is that we make the dragon fruit pizza, which is I try to make the pizza dough from mixed with the dragon fruit, and it's have the pink color as you see on the screen, and it's a color of lucky. So I sell it to the public, and then just after I sell it to the public, it's got the attention right away. A lot of my friends, they buy it because of the first thing is that it have meanings. They have meanings to rescue the Vietnamese agriculture, and then the other on the other hand, I can buy a lot of the dragon fruit because of if only me I eat the dragon fruit, I cannot eat that a lot. But because of all of my customers, they eat the dragon fruit pizza, so we can rescue a lot more of the dragon fruit. And then after that, the thing is that after that, not only me but also some of my friends, it's the one who are the chef. They also use the dragon fruit to their stuff. They trying to make the sushi from dragon fruit. They're trying to make the burger from the dragon fruit. So if just only my company use the dragon fruit as an ingredient for the food, it's not a lot. But because of there are after that a lot of the company of about 50 companies of my friend, they also use the dragon fruit as the ingredient for the company, which is each of us, we buy about 30-40 kilograms of dragon fruit per day. But then 10 of us, 20-30 of us, we can buy a lot, and that's makes some of the meaning to the community. And this one, the other thing is that with the other with the same products, we have to compete by the price. But with this one, we actually don't have to lower the price to sell it because it's just like the very unique products. So that's one of the case. I do that the last year. So this second case of me when I do during the COVID time is Burger Corona. So this one is that just after the time when Hanoi is locked down by COVID, and then at the time I just think of the idea that because of at the time it's social distancing time, everybody stay home. Our restaurant had to close, just only delivery, and we feel very boring. We feel like don't know what the future is, and everything is very doomed. So at the time, I just have an idea that I will make something interesting and funny during the time when everybody feeling very tired and very boring. So I think of making the Corona burger. And at the time when I make the burger Corona, it's just the burger with the shape of the coronavirus. And then in the beginning when I make it, and people don't like it very much, especially my friend, they don't like it because of it's look very great, and it's look like they say that it's look very dangerous, like not interesting at all. So at the time, but I think that like I just make it. I think we're trying to make the burger Corona looks funny and look cute. That's just my idea. And then when I finish making it, and people say that it's not cute, it look very dangerous. So at the time, I just make a few, and then I posted it on the forum of the foreigners who live in Hanoi. And just after 2 days, when I post my products in that group, and then there's one of the members of that group. He eat the burger Corona. He like it, and then he his selfie with the burger Corona, and he said, which is later become my tagline for the whole campaign. He said, "Eat it to beat it," which is, I think, is great. And I also use that the word "eat it to beat it" as a tagline of the whole campaign. And then after that, after a few days, the press start to have the attention. In my case, in the beginning, the Singapore National TV, they come to have the video, the recording, the video about how I make the burger Corona. And then after that, it's go to NHK, which is like a Japanese channel, and then go to Reuters, we go to Le Figaro in Europe, and AP. And then after that, it appears on CNN, which is go to US. And I say that, wow, it's just a very small idea, but then it's go viral the whole world. And then like the big point of the tipping point of that product is that the BBC, they contacting me, and then they said that I want you to be on the live with BBC to show us about the burger Corona. And that program had about 28 million people watching it live at one time, which is like the biggest live program on earth, which is, I think, that, wow, it's just a very small idea. I'm just a very small businessman from Hanoi, and then my products now appears on the biggest channel in the world. So what I think is that we cannot, for me, I am the very small company. I cannot compete with the big company by money. No, I don't have enough money to face with Pizza Hut or Domino's, which is they are the billion company. I don't have enough management system as good as them as well. I don't have enough money for marketing as them as well. I don't have, in fact, their people, the system is a lot much better than me. So, but I survived during all the hard time and during all the competition. I think there's one thing we can do, which we can keep it and speed it, and we didn't go very fast, is innovation. Because of my case, I always try to make the new things, and that's keep my company go ahead, and that keep my company have the products which I don't have to be compete by the price. Because if I compete by the price, I will be killed by all the big pizza company in Vietnam as well. But the thing in about innovation, from my point of view, is that the innovation is very important, but the more important thing is that effective innovation, that counts. Because of not all the time I do innovation have the good result. I fail many times. I fail many times. And what I do now, I realize that the innovation, the good way of innovation is that we have to follow the customer journey. That's a good way of making the innovation. For example, last year, in the beginning of the COVID-19 in Vietnam, and people just, they don't go to restaurant anymore. They just only delivery and take it home. So we have to put that into on the delivery system. And after that, I have to nearly to redesign my menu to fit it with on the delivery system, like Grab Food or Delivery Now or Gojek or Baemin, which is the same as Uber Eats in your country or Deliveroo in your country. And so when I move to the new channel, it's great. It's booming. And that's the first thing, because people move to that channel. So we have to move that to that channel as well. We cannot keep the same way. So we have to follow the customer journey. And after that, after the COVID, we have another case is that when Hanoi is locked down, people feel like crazy. They go to buy a lot of the instant noodle to bring that home because of everybody's scared. They buy all the toilet paper to bring that home. Everybody's scared. Another time, I have to say that I have to think that, okay, now my pizza have to be something like the instant noodle. People can take that home and they can eat that whenever they want. So I developed the frozen pizza in Hanoi, and it sounds like very good, so great. And after that, the customer journey continue. They stay home for a long time, and now the meal is not only the meal. The meal is the way to entertain with the children. So they start to making the meal with the children. So at the time I have to design a package of making the pizza at home with the children. So I have sell powder, I have the tomato sauce, I have to sell all the food to make the pizza. I don't sell the pizza anymore, but I sell the food for them to make their pizza at home. And put that into the combo. So innovation, I think it's a great idea, but effective innovation is that we innovate, follow the customer journey. That's the way we can innovate and we can have the result, and we can have finally, as a small businessman, I have to have the money from my innovation. Yes.
And thank you so much, Professor Chua Metselaar, anh Thuan, and anh Doan, and all the friends and colleagues today for joining today's session and spending time with Solvay community. And my special thanks to Professor Chua Metselaar, Mr. Thuan, and Mr. Doan for your great sharing, very insightful and fruitful. And I wish you all a lot of health, happiness, and see you again very soon.